Hello and welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going deep on a pattern that I know so many of you will recognize. That feeling of constantly putting others first. So saying yes when the whole of you is screaming no, or twisting yourself into shapes that just don't fit. And you may be doing that to keep the peace or to be liked or to be chosen. So we're going to call it people pleasing. But what the Akashic records show us is that it goes so much deeper than that. And it is not a personality trait. It is not who you are. It is a wound that you are carrying. It's a wound that is shaping you. And today the cards are going to show us exactly where that wound lives, what it's costing you, and what is ready to shift as well. So today, as always, I'm using my Akashic Soul Alchemy Oracle deck. If you've never seen these cards before, watch closely because this is not your average Oracle deck. Every single card works with the shadow, the light, the root cause, and the reclamation. So we're going into the Akashic records with these cards today, and we're not going to come out the same. So let's get started. So I've already pulled the cards, and the question that I asked the cards was, how are you self-sabotaging yourself through people pleasing? And the first card that came out is the Divine Feminine. Now, the Divine Feminine is a really, really beautiful card. She is intuitive. She is in flow. She is creation, right? But when I look at this card within this reading, this is about really giving yourself away, right? Really trying to fit in with that person, that job, that relationship, whatever it may be, because the Divine Feminine is so caring, she's so giving, and she's not listening to her intuition, right? Because everything that I look at here is saying that her intuition is saying no to different things, but her voice is saying yes, right? So she's not really connecting into that intuition, right? So she may well hear it, but she's not listening to it, right? She's not taking the action that the Divine Feminine energy is asking her to take, right? And that's really, really important. This feminine energy is really, really beautiful, right? It's magnetic, it's powerful. But at the same time, because of what we're looking at, you probably learned that being too much, being too magnetic, being too powerful wasn't safe for you. And we'll look at why a little bit later in the cards. So that means that you have adapted, right? You've become agreeable. You say yes when you mean no, right? And maybe you've blocked that intuition out completely. Okay, so what I want you to take from this card is that the Divine Feminine is very much about intuition, power, magnetism. And because we're talking about people pleasing, it's like you've covered that part of yourself through experiences in this lifetime, through experiences in past lifetime as well. So that is a question that we are going to look at, is like, what is the root cause of why you have lost that feminine magnetism, intuition, and power? Why have you shrunk to fit the room when you are here to be the Divine Feminine, when you are here to be fully in your power? Use your intuition and magnetize the things that you want towards you. So this is stemming from your ancestors, right? So this is going to be in the maternal line, your grandmothers, your great-grandmothers, right? They experienced the need for safety within their life. So this pattern actually isn't yours. It's something that has been carried down. It's something that has been conditioned as well. So it can be in your DNA, it can be in your nervous system, but you would have also witnessed your mother, your grandmother shrinking, right, to fit their partner, to fit the job, to fit the situation, right, and really hiding their own feminine power, their own divine feminine energy, so that they don't stand out, so that they feel emotionally safe, or so that they feel that they're not causing any problems. Okay, so this is very much about surviving and making themselves smaller in order to survive, right? And ancestral blocks can really impact us in this life, because we have been experiencing that wound through, in this example, our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, right? But also what is passed down through our DNA, right? So this is very much about them becoming smaller, but also trading their truth for safety, right? They're hiding who they really are to be safe, right? And that's something that has been conditioned within you, but it's been passed down through the ancestors, right? And when this card comes up, this is a really, really clear message that you are here to be the pattern breaker. You are here to break this ancestral pattern that you have been carrying. And within the Akashic Records, when we do this work, when we have the understanding, right, and work through it, not only are we clearing this ancestral block for ourselves, but we are clearing it for 7 generations that have already been, and 7 generations yet to come, right? So you're clearing it for the ancestors, but you're clearing it for your own children and grandchildren as well, right? So these are the patterns that we want to release. We don't want our children not being able to step into their divine feminine. We don't want our children to not be able to speak their truth and show up as who they are, right? This is all about, woundings are all about covering our true identity, right? So this is really, really important. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about how this is affecting your life. So 2 cards came out for here. So this is about how people pleasing affects you, right? And not only does it affect you, it affects your money, right? That's really, really important. It affects your money. So every time you people please, so every time you shrink yourself, every time that you say yes when you mean no, you're leaking energy and you're leaking income, right? I'm going to say that again because this is so, so important. You are leaking energy and you are leaking income, right? Your money is directly connected to how sovereign you feel, right? If you look at this card, she is sovereign, right? But when we're people pleasing and putting everybody else first, we are draining our own energy and we're stepping out of our sovereignty, right? Because we're not focusing on who we are, what we need. And that there's nothing selfish about that. The more that we focus on ourselves, the more that we have energy for other people, right? But we will be doing the things that are in alignment with us that are helping that person, okay? And that's really, really important, right? So the message from this is really that financial blocks and self-betrayal are the same wound in different clothes. Okay, so self-betrayal and money, so people-pleasing. So when we are people-pleasing, we are betraying ourselves. We are betraying what we want, need, desire even as well. So we are stepping away from our own inner power, our own inner magic to please everybody else and abandon our own wants, needs, and desires, which of course is stopping you from alchemizing, charging, transforming your money story. Alchemy is all about transformation, right? Alchemy means transformation. So if you're going through money struggles, you're not earning enough, you can't get a job, all of those things, that's all about money, right? And you want to alchemize that, and you can't do that if you are leaking your energy by not being true to who you are. Okay, so the wound beneath this is the prostitution wound. Okay, now the prostitution wound is not about sex. Okay, it's about trading our authenticity, our authentic self, for approval, safety, recognition, belonging, all of those different energies. So we are trading parts and pieces of ourselves to fit in, to keep the peace, to avoid confrontation, to feel emotionally safe, right? So this is a really, really deep wounding. And this is the wounding that I am seeing coming up the most right now in my free quiz. So I do have a quiz that you can join and find out what is your pattern and what is the root cause of your pattern. So I will link that in the description below. But the prostitution wound is the one that is coming up the most at the moment, right? This is why you keep abandoning yourself. This is why you keep seeking other people's approval, right? You have this beautiful divine feminine energy, right? You're intuitive, you're powerful, you're magnetic, but the prostitution wound is literally covering that up, right? So you're not listening to your intuition, you're not in your power, and you're not magnetizing income, right? Because the prostitution wound is what is covering all of this, okay? Because you're trading yourself for safety, approval, and all of those different things. So this is the wound that needs to be dealt with and understood on a deeper level. So I do have a blog series about the prostitution wound that will help you to understand what it is. And then tomorrow I will be putting a blog up about how it shows up in your life, your relationships, and all of those things, so that you can really understand it on a deep level, because we don't want this covering our divine feminine energy, right? We want to be this. We don't want to be this, right? And that's really important, especially as it affects our money, right? So important. It affects our money. So what is good about this reading is that there are things that are ready to integrate, right? So that you can start to release the hold that this wound has over you. And we have gratitude and integration, right? So something is ready to complete. And just by having an understanding of what we're holding on to, right, is the first step towards healing. Okay, so we've only spoken today about one aspect of the prostitution wound, right? People pleasing is one aspect. There are many other aspects like overgiving, not charging enough, all of those kind of things. So a lot of them do actually come back to the money element, right? So, if you're not making enough money, if you're not charging enough, if you're overgiving, all the prostitution wound. So that's all explained in the blog. So having an understanding of the wound that you are holding onto is step one in the healing process, right? The soul isn't asking you, your soul isn't asking you to fix this, right? Or to fight this, right? And use it as an excuse. Like, we are humans, we do tend to make excuses for things. So your soul isn't asking you to do that. What it's asking you to do is to honor where it has come from, right? And it's come from your ancestors, right? So we don't want to blame them, right? That they would have put things in place that would have served them at the time. And that's really important with past life readings, is that, you know, we make contracts, agreements, and all of these things because they served us at that time. But until they are physically cleared, they carry through lifetimes, right? So we don't want to blame our ancestors for shrinking or fitting in or not sharing their authenticity. At some point, they needed to do that to stay safe. You don't need to do that anymore. You're here to be the change maker, right? You're here to break that pattern for them, for yourself, and for future generations, okay? So this would be a good time to do a almost like soul retrieval and call all of those parts and pieces back to yourself. This is telling you, right, the integration card is telling you that it's time to integrate the understanding that you have of this wounding, understanding where it came from, and integrating some healing in order to help you to move forward. But also, you know, being grateful for the understanding, being grateful for the healing if you undergo healing, and being grateful to our ancestors as well, right, for the things that they went through so that you know, they could keep us safe as well. So there are some healings and clearings in my shop. I will put the link there. There is a prostitution wound one. At this present time, it is for overgiving, but I will be adding some more. But there is a soul retrieval in there as well. So do go and check that out. To help you with some integration, I wanted to leave you with an embodiment ritual. This is from the guidebook. So the embodiment ritual that comes with the prostitution wound, okay, is to stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes and say aloud, I choose me, I honor my truth, I am no longer abandoning myself for anything or anyone. And just breathe that into yourselves. So if this reading landed with you today, I want you to sit with this, right? The people pleasing, the self-abandonment, the saying yes when you mean no, it did not start with you. It was handed to you, and that means it can end with you. You can be the pattern breaker, okay? Your money, your power, your voice, they are all waiting on the other side of this pattern. Not when you fixed yourself, not when you've earned the right now as you are. If you want to go deeper into this work, the Akashic Soul Alchemy Oracle deck is linked below. These are the cards that you've seen today, and they are ready to take you into your own Akashic records, into your own wounds, and into your own reclamation. And if you want to know which soul wound is the most active for you right now, take the free quiz. The link is below too, because your soul already knows what is ready to heal. We just need to listen, okay? Until next time, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Let me know how this reading resonated with you. And I see you, I honor you, and I will see you in the Akashic Records. Have an amazing rest of the day. Ciao for now.